Welcome back to the Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show. Thank you for allowing us to be part of your day. Moments away, harvesting, preserving the harvest, storing the harvest. But first, Farmers Defense has unique tools and apparel to help that harvest more safely for you.
Farm and garden in the ultimate comfort. Farmers Defense has lightweight and durable sleeves made to protect you against the elements while farming. Farmers sleeves offer unparalleled protection of arms and skins for any farmer in the garden or outdoor worker. Say goodbye to irritated skin and sunburns in the garden. Their sleeves offer cooling comfort and protection against the elements outdoors. An alternative to thick clothing, Farmers Defense is made of wicking material with UBF protection factor of 50 plus to protect you from allergens and scratches. To find out all their great products and more, visit farmersdefense.com.
Great tools. The apparel, the sleeves work great. They don't snag, they don't tear, and they protect your arms as well as their hats. Keeps the sun from baking your brain.
Right. So we're going to talk about here
storing your
harvest.
Now, this can be canning, dehydrating, freezer, refrigerator, storage, dry storage, like like pumpkins and squash. Nobody. I think very few people have root cellars.
No, but you could kind of mimic.
Right.
The root cellar.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
In a way, kind of.
So let's start with canning.
So canning, just saying here, reminding everybody that, first of all, that canning is a science. So you want to follow a trusted recipe, no matter what you're doing, whether it be water bath canning or pressure canning. Or you want to follow, for pressure canning, you want to make sure you follow the manufacturer's instructions. And then also I want to note that a lot of these, you want to use vinegar that's at 5% acidity.
Yeah, this is the big thing that's happened in the last week that we've been notified of through multiple social media platforms.
Yeah. So a lot of these like store brand, like there's the name brand white vinegar, and then there's like the store brand. For whatever reason, a lot of the store brand ones are now only at 4% acidity, so you have to buy most likely the name brand.
For people who are like, okay, vinegar is vinegar, 4 or 5%. What's the difference? What's the big deal?
You just need the 5% for the canning.
Because the acidity is what is preserving or making it safe to set in that jar for your pickles or your whatever you're canning.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So another reason to read the label, and if it don't skimp because it's $1 cheaper for the stuff that's 4%, because that doesn't pay for the funeral cost.
Right. So,
I'm not making joke, because if you do this incorrectly, it can result in worst case scenario fatalities.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't be silly. So, so canning, water bath canning or pressure canning. Water bath canning is for high acid or high sugar foods, or foods that you're adding acid or sugar to. So that can be things like pickled items, jams, jellies, chutneys,
this is for
salsas.
This is for water bath. You said pressure canning.
Oh, yeah, water bath. So
water bath is for
So it's for low acid foods that you're adding acid or sugar to, or high acid foods.
Okay.
So, for example, again, salsas, sauces that you're adding like a vinegar or lemon juice to.
Canned tomatoes.
Pickled stuff, jams, jellies, chutneys, things like that.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so then the pressure canning is for the low acid foods that you're pressure canning, so things like vegetables, just as is, carrots,
green beans, pumpkins, squash. And that's the thing. Another thing was green beans. I water bath green beans. If you water bath green beans, and it's not, I don't even know if there's people say you got to go like 3 hours. It's not even recommended. The Ball and the National Center for Home Food Preservation said no. We don't even talk about water bath and green beans anymore. Pressure can only. Or what we choose to do is blanch and freeze them.
Right. Yep. So so there's some options there for canning. There's certain things you just don't want to can because it's unsafe, like anything with a high fat content, like certain meats. And then anything with the addition of butter. Pumpkin butter.
You wouldn't want to do cauliflower or broccoli because it just turns into baby food.
Yeah, a lot of stuff will turn into mush. Even something like watermelon. I don't know why you would can watermelon. But anyway, see, there's a lot of do's and don'ts. And then, so then we can move on to freezing.
Well, first, if you're not sure about canning, what you're doing, reach out to your local extension office, talk to a master canner, or you can send us an email to gardentalkradio@gmail.com, and we will connect you with the proper people in order for you to do it safe and do it right.
Proper people. Yeah. So, that's correct. All right. So then we move on to freezing here. You can freeze a lot of fruits and vegetables. You can find a lot of tips online. For example, if you're going to freeze something like berries, you can just freeze them as is in a bag, or you can freeze them on like a cookie sheet, nice and flat. And then once they're each I think people call it like flash freezing.
Flash freezing, correct, yep.
Once they're each flash frozen, then you can put them in a bag. So that's an option, and that kind of preserves their shape a little bit better than just...
But also keep in mind, anything you freeze, you put a full whatever in the freezer and you pull it out to defrost it, it will lose some structural integrity. It's not going to be like you just pulled it off the vine. Oh, look at that. It will...
But you could break it up easier.
Yes,
so if you just
correct.
want like half the bag of blueberries.
Right. But don't think you're going to put a strawberry in the fridge and then pull it out and defrost and it's going to look just like it came off the vine.
No.
No, not at all.
Yeah, so freezing. And then some things you're going to do what's called blanching or parboiling. I think it just depends on what part of the country you're in and what you call it.
The term you mean.
Yeah. Okay. So you're basically just going to cook whatever vegetable it is for about a minute, and then you put it into an ice bath to stop the cooking, and that helps preserve the shape and the integrity of that vegetable. Do
we vacuum seal? Do we just use a freezer bag? What is there a right or wrong? Obviously, if you remove most of the air, the lifespan is a little bit better than if you just wrap it up and, I got most of the air out and throw it in the freezer.
I mean, vacuum sealing obviously is going to air is what the problem is, right, and causes rot. So vacuum sealing is going to help. As far as using freezer bags, you definitely want to use a freezer bag versus just a regular food storage bag, and you want to make sure you date the items so you know. Otherwise, you're like, is this from this year?
Well, not only just date, but write, 7/14/2023 strawberries. Because sometimes if the thing gets pushed in the back of the fridge, you don't know what that was.
This is true. I had that happen with lentil soup that I thought was chili, and
also, people will say, well, I don't need a vacuum sealer. I put a straw on the side of the bag and I suck the air out.
You can do that.
You only get 30%. You still have 70%. Studies have shown that when you do that, you only get 30% of the air actually out of the entire bag. Even though
it's better than just trying to push the air out.
True, I know. But I'm just giving you hard facts.
I don't want your hard facts.
All right.
Maybe somebody else does. You can write in.
Okay.
Should I tell you a story about hard facts?
No,
I don't really have one.
You don't have one, no. Dehydrating.
Yeah, dehydrating's fun. If you have a dehydrator, it's
there's no limits on this.
There's really no limits. You can dehydrate, and a lot of people are now doing this because they're making their own like outdoorsy meals by dehydrating, and then they just reconstitute it.
People dehydrate watermelon, lemons, leeks, pineapple, fill in the blank, lettuce. It really doesn't matter. You can dehydrate really much anything, and when you rehydrate it, it will most times be palatable. So, if you in good quality, here's the thing: if you're going to look at dehydrating, look at a dehydrator that has a fan that forces the air through. Don't get these dehydrators that have a coil at the bottom, and then it's designed that the heat will rise up and dehydrate and dry. You want a fan that circulates the air. That is the key. You're going to pay a little bit more, but it's going to evenly distribute the heat in order to properly dehydrate. And if you're dehydrating anything, have everything in uniform shapes. Everything either a certain thickness or a certain cube size. So you don't have a quarter drying faster than the other. You've got thin and you got thick, and then everything, one's too dry and one's not dry enough. Right.
And with dehydration, it's something that is kind of, I think, an investment. Because it's something that you essentially want to do year after year. So if you're not sure, maybe you can find a secondhand dehydrator somewhere and then
yard sale.
Decision. Yeah, yard sales, thrift stores, things like that, and even on the marketplace. So you can make a decision that way.
Before we get to just put it in the fridge, if you're going to dehydrate, there are certain things that you want to dehydrate outside of your residence: garlic, onions, leaks, it will impermeate.
Unless you have some house guests you're trying to get rid of.
Yeah. That was rough. Them dehydrating onions. We moved it to the attic.
Yeah. I remember that.
So keep that in mind, that not all things are a pleasant aroma coming out of the dehydrator.
Yeah. So let's talk about the root cellar concept. I think you kind of know more about this than I do.
Well, a root cellar is a unit that is beneath the soil level in old time homes. That's where that's where all the canned goods and the pumpkins and the squash and all these things were kept, because it was like a refrigerated, say basically kind of like a basement, unclimatized basement, because the coolness of the earth kept these things in check and kept it refrigerated, kept it a constant temperature regardless of what outdoor temperature was. That is not so much the case anymore. Now you can create a mock root cellar by digging a hole and burying certain things outside your residence, if you can do that. But that has gone away, but that's the concept. It's below ground level, and the earth preserves that produce for a much longer time than if it was above ground.
Yes. So that's the root cellar concept. It makes sense.
Put it in the fridge.
Yeah, for sure. And so then there's also just putting in the fridge, where maybe you have some like root vegetables and they will last a little bit longer in the fridge because they are a little bit hardier, and just because they are like more of a winter vegetable. So what you want to do in that case is you want to leave the dirt on them to kind of act as like a shield.
Preserve. A protective layer.
Protective layer. Yeah. And then
I'm thinking of carrots and parsnips and turnips and rutabagas.
Yeah. All those things. Radishes.
Now they will dry out. Cabbage as well. But it will have a little longer shelf life. Items like winter squash, pumpkins, spaghetti squash, acorn squash, fill in the blank. You want to cure that ambiently, and then you can store that in an unclimatized area under the bed, in a closet, at the bottom of a shelf farthest away from a heat source, and they will keep 4, 5, 6 months in a really good situation. So, some ideal for storing your harvest: canning, freezing, dehydrating, root cellar if you got that, or just put it in the fridge, or put it in a ambient area away from heat, out of direct sunlight, and you can prolong your harvest and utilize it. Well, if you want to control beetles and grub invaders without affecting the rest of your ecosystem in your yard, then Grub Gone and Beetle Gone is the solution.
Yeah, Phylums Grub Gone and Beetle Gone target a wide range of invasive and destructive beetles, weevils, and borers without harming non-targets such as bees, ladybugs, earthworms, butterflies, or other beneficial insects. You can purchase these products locally in Massachusetts at Ward's Nursery, McHugh Garden Center, and Hyannis County Country Garden. In Connecticut at Van Wilgen's Garden Center. In Maine at Salisbury Organics, and in New York at Fadigan's Nursery, and Ohio at Berlin Seeds. You can find them online at phyllumbioproducts.com. Phylum Bioproducts target the pest, not the rest. For more information, please visit thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com.